What's going on, all you wild great white shark enthusiasts? These wild boys are back for the fourth and final installment in the Jaws franchise. And tonight we're going to be diving into one of the worst movies ever made, according to critics and movie fans like us. And we're going to be diving into this fourth installment that came out in 1987, Jaws: The Revenge. And you betcha this time it's personal.
Is unwelcome and completely at the mercy of the most terrifying predator on earth. Man's deepest fear has risen again. Jaws: The Revenge. This time, it's personal.
I'm excited to be back talking about Jaws. We've been wanting to watch this for a few weeks now since we reviewed part 3. Finally got around to watching this, and man, what a mess.
Just plain awful, really. Coming off of 3, that's saying a lot too, because we ripped that one to shreds with that ridiculous storyline of the shark getting into SeaWorld. At least that one had Dennis Quaid going for it. This one, Lorraine Gary's back. She's the OG at this point, and then you have Lance Guest playing her son. But other than that, Sheriff Brody's long passed, and basically the family is cursed now by Jaws, and the shark will find them no matter where they go, which includes Amity, like usual, but somehow follows them, how many thousands of miles away to the Bahamas for absolutely no reason.
Yeah, that's right. The setup of the film is we have Sean Brody, which he was the youngest son from the first movie, as I remember, very young kid. He's now the cop in town. The dad, Roy Scheider's character, actually has a heart attack. He's killed him off, essentially. He didn't want to be in the movie for obvious reasons, but they killed him off. He had a heart attack. He's dead. And Sean goes out. He's a cop. He's out in the boat. Christmas time in Amity Island, so it's got to be freezing. The waters are freezing for no apparent reason. A great white shark comes up and rips him out, rips off his arm, and he gets killed. So that's when Ellen Brody is like, yes, we're definitely cursed. The great white shark is following us. We need to make it to the Bahamas. That's really where it sets up the rest of the film.
It was a weird vibe with it being around Christmas time. It just didn't match with summer. Jaws. Jaws should be summer, and for some reason this one was during Christmas. Michael Caine, another big star in this at the time, playing the pilot, basically. Mario Van Peebles playing, one of the guys there, a Jamaican guy in the Bahamas that Michael kind of works with to track the shark. And what you really want to know is does the shark look good this time around? Because part 3, it looked terrible. It was all computer generated, looked awful, especially coming through the glass. It just looked totally fake. And this one just looks like a robot. It looks like the shark that we saw at the Universal Studios, the ride there. Very mechanical. It's cool that it's practical, but the way that they utilized it on screen just looked really bad. Like, they prop them up on the side of a boat and you literally see it like you can see the hydraulics moving, like the mouth up and down. Yeah, looks really bad. But yeah, just everything about this, I don't know, this film is just clunky from the get-go. Has no semblance to the first film. They're taking the story of the family being cursed now. And, now that the son gets killed off, it's like, why would Lorraine Gary want to even go anywhere near water ever again? She'd be moving out to somewhere far away from water after it, basically almost took her husband and has, eaten one of her sons. I mean, it's just ridiculous at this point. But putting that all aside, all the plot holes and everything, how are the kills? There's several kill scenes in here. There's a little gore, but none of it keeps the suspense and of what Spielberg's magic from the first one. It's just not carried over. It's just a lifeless film and one with a very ridiculous ending. It just awful climax scene where the shark is coming towards the boat. And basically it gets impaled and stabbed. And then they just decide to reuse footage from the first one with the shark exploding. It just explodes and shows the same scene from the first one. And somehow it getting stabbed with the, I don't know what it's called at the front of the boat there, but the mast or whatever it is, goes right through it, and then it just somehow explodes for no reason. It's just really ridiculous. And the other scene that sticks out to me in this is where, Michael Caine, the pilot, um, lands the seaplane on the water, and he's like, "Hey, I'm over here." He's waving to, Lorraine Gary on the boat and Michael and all them. And then all of a sudden Jaws just comes up out of the water and grabs and destroys, the plane. Yeah, just totally demolishes it robotically in like 5 seconds. And then Michael Caine goes missing briefly. But later on, we find out he's okay.
Oh, you're referring to Hoagie. Is that correct?
Yes, Hoagie.
Hoagie's
Yes.
character, the pilot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a big deal. He was nominated for an Oscar the same year. And
Wow.
I was reading about
Wow.
that. So it was rejuvenating his career in the late 80s. So, and him doing this movie, it was all for a paycheck. He made 1.5 million in 7 days of shooting this in Hawaii, not the Bahamas, but supposed to be in the Bahamas, but they filmed in Hawaii.
Right.
So he made a nice paycheck. And I remember hearing an interview with Michael Caine talking about this movie. Never saw the movie, but used that money to pay for a brand new house for his mom, essentially. So that's what he thought.
Can't hate him on that.
Yeah, he got them in the movie. But yeah, Ellen Brody, Lorraine Gary, it's cool seeing hers, her final time that I saw her in a movie, and especially the last Jaws movie. But what a train wreck. Third act is a disaster, but I did like the plane scene. I thought that was cool, even though the shark comes up all robotic and you see the wires hanging out and stuff. Like, it's just so bad. And the funny thing is they had a really good budget for this movie. It was poorly executed across the board from the first act all the way to the third act. And you're wanting the movie to end, and it finally does with a ridiculous scene that you're talking about, the shark exploding. But totally forgettable movie.
This movie, just didn't work for so many reasons. Had none of the magic of the original, had none of the wonder and awe of how big the shark was or anything. That was taken out. It was just this giant shark in the water. It lost all mysteriousness. It showed you everything, whereas the original did it right and only showing glimpses of it and kept a lot to your imagination. This one relies on, just showing the shark. And unfortunately, after a while, it just looks too robotic to take seriously. Clunky scenes, dialogue all over the place, a storyline that didn't make sense to me. Why they'd, want to do most of the decisions that happened in this film. I was just scratching my head. Why they had to go and kill the son just for the sake of the story was a little ridiculous to me. And the climax, the final scene's just laughable. It's a big mess. And, for being the last Jaws movie, it kind of killed the franchise. And, 3 was bad, but this one was even worse. And that's saying something.
I remember loving this movie as a kid because this came out in 1987. So I probably watched it around 89, 90. Seeing this on TNT, TBS, I remember it being a lot better. And rewatching this as an adult, almost 40, this movie sucks. It took me 2 days to get through it. It's an hour and a half long. It's that bad. It's what everybody says if you read up about this online, if you've never seen it. It's up there for one of the worst movies ever made. It really slaps Spielberg's masterpiece in the face, really. A movie they probably should have never made after part 3 in 1983. That one was a mess, but this takes the cake. Terrible movie, a movie I definitely won't be rewatching for a very, very, very long time. And it's a pass for me for all the reasons we talked about tonight. So that being said, I'm going to give Jaws 4, Jaws the Revenge, I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5 Michael Caine hair pieces.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. This one was just clunky all around. One of the worst films of any franchise, let alone this one. And I didn't really like any of the sequels, but this one's definitely the worst. Skip this one. It's going to leave a bad taste in your mouth. There's not really any redeeming qualities besides Uncle Hoagie, Michael Caine. Like seeing him. He classed it up a little bit. A terrible Jamaican character that they had Mario Van Peebles play. Just like totally stereotypical, terrible accent, and for no reason at all. And they didn't, I just didn't like where they set this film, taking them to the Bahamas. It's just ridiculous. A shark is going to follow him thousands of miles for no reason. I mean, I don't know. I'm really hating this film, but yeah, this one was bad for me. And I am never going to watch this film again. I watched it solely for the purpose of this review. That's it. This time it's personal, just like the tagline said. So with that being said, I'm going to give Jaws: The Revenge a 1 out of 5 Michael Brody hairpieces.
So I want to hear from all you shark enthusiasts out there. What did you like about Jaws: The Revenge? No, seriously, what did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, check out these wild rascals on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and our website, Cinephellas.com, for the latest, greatest TV, movie news and reviews.
So with that being said, we have finished our review, our deep dive, as you can say, into those wild great white infested waters of the Jaws franchise. We've had a blast watching each and every one of these films, even though, the last, basically all the sequels weren't that great. It was great, returning to this franchise after so long. I hadn't seen these movies in a long time, especially 2, 3, and 4. So now that we can say we've watched the franchise from yearly, every time on a rewatch, we can just stick to the first one. I think it's safe to say, let's stick to the original around the 4th of July, enjoy that, and live on that, the memories of that classic. So until the next Cinephellas Classic Movie Review, I'm Uncle Henry Hill.
And I'm Logan Brody, signing out until the next movie review. Cheers!
Cheers. Smile, you son of a bitch.